Hello everyone. Now we're going to look at the game Boris Spassky versus Edward Gufeld from Wellington, 1988. Again, we're continuing with our playlist in the closed Sicilian, and we're going to get right into it. So E4, C5, knight C3, knight C6, G3, G6, bishop G2, bishop G7, D3, D6, F4, E6, knight F3, knight G E7, castles, and bishop E3, again with this idea of playing D4, so black prevents it. And now bishop F2. Okay. And usually the bishop comes back here to prepare E5 at some point. All right. And also to play knight D4. Now, knight takes F3 is played. And of course, there's several moves that black can play here. Knight C6 is possible. Rook B8 is another one with the idea of pushing this pawn. Bishop D7 is another one. To name a few. F5 has been tried, as well as B6. So that's about 6 different moves that have been tried in this position. So there is a lot of scope for play in the closed Sicilian without the long forced lines that you might see, for instance, in a dragon or a knight off game. So bishop takes F2. Knight takes F3 was chosen by Gufeld. Bishop takes F3. Knight C6. Bishop G2. Anticipating knight D4. And now E5 by Spassky. Alright, and what can we say about this move? The sacrifice is, yes, it kind of breaks up the black pawn structure somewhat, but more importantly, it opens up some lines for these bishops. Alright, double edge. D takes E5, because after all, you are investing some material here, right? This case a pawn, but now you have this open diagonal. And it's going to take black some extra time to organize this queenside counterplay. Knight E4 with the attack on this pawn here. And notice B6 is not really an option there. And now I think black panics a little bit and plays the move F5 again. Just going into like this inferior pawn structure here. More normal looking options, moves like Queen C7, Bishop D7, or even just retreating with Bishop G7. Okay, all respectable looking moves. And notice those 3 options I gave you are all piece moves because they aren't as committal as a move like F5. F5 is extremely committal. So F5, knight takes C5, and now Queen D6. Alright. Maybe Queen C7, but hard to tell. There or there for the Queen. Queen D6 was chosen. And B4 is played. And And now rook b8. And now c3. Knight to b5 and d4. So this is great. The knight is protected and it adds a lot of force pressure on the center. What about knight c3? Oh, you just take. Winning a piece. So bishop f6. And now you deal with the defense here. However, notice the dual purpose of the move. Yeah, you're protecting c3 here, but you're also attacking e6. It's backward. b6, knight d3, still maintaining control over that square. Bishop to b7, takes, and now a4. Knight c7, notice the rook is blocked off. Rook f e1. Knight d5, c4, just harassing that knight. Okay. Knight e7. Knight to f4, back to this pawn again. Knight to c6, and now rook takes e6. Queen takes on b4. Queen to d3. Knight e7. And now black has to be real careful because of this threat right here, bishop e1. There's nowhere for the queen to go. Queen. So knight e7, bishop e1. And now bishop c3, queen b3. So we see black with this kind of tightrope act here. Again, if you've been watching and following the series on the playlist, I've been saying over and over, preaching about the importance of the squares around the removal of this dark square bishop. And I don't know how many games where either you see the bishops traded off, where white trades his dark square bishop for black's dark square bishop, or you see this exchange sacrifice, especially after the kingside pawns have been compromised. It's one thing when you have their regular fee and kettle setup, but when you have this Dutch defense pawn structure and you get rid of the bishop, it's even more lethal a lot of times, especially when you have the remaining dark square bishop. And right here, Spassky, being a former world champion, right, finds the move. Rook takes, and simply d5. Not only does he have this pass pawn ready to go up the board, but now he has the only dark square bishop remaining. And the diagonal is weak. Both diagonals are weak for black. Again, this is like a bad Dutch defense. Okay. Plus the knight on e6 is at least worth a rook. King f7. Again, knight e6, supernatural, and like I said, it's worth a rook. And now the king is just wandering out and about. You know, it reminds me of those silver alerts. You know, when the child goes missing and you're driving on the highway, they alert your phone or whatever, you see it, and the billboards says Amber Alert. The silver alert, for those of you who don't know, are for like older people. When an adult goes missing, put silver alert, you know, and it gives like a make and model of a vehicle or something. You know, most of the times with the old people, they'll just wander off or something. You know, they say they're going to the store and then they'll hallucinate and then walk for 5 miles or something. And that's what this reminded me of. Now the king is just wandering out in the open. Right, the king is a little bit senile, and now there's a silver alert on the king as it's wandered off into the open, and something bad is about to happen to it. So after king takes e6, runs into the bad guy here, rook e1 check, king f7. And what else you do when you have open dark squares like that? You just line up on them, right? Queen d4. And what do you do when you're about to lose? You just start taking stuff, right? Queen takes a4. These guys are so materialistic. Queen g7, king e8. But usually you just have nothing else to do in the position. And again, beautiful piece coordination. Everything is just piled up. King d8, queen f8. Really the only move to keep hanging on. This it's gonna hurt. Rook d1 check, rook d7. Everything tied up. Too many pins. And this is a beautiful position because his knight is not protected at all. The rook on d7 is pinned, as well as the queen. Uh, the and the queen on e8 is pinned. And actually, this will cost the queen, as the king has to move away. And then simply queen takes e8, and Gufeld had to resign. So, always 1988, beautiful game by Spassky. So we see Spassky, some 18, 19 years since he had been world champion. 20 years or so since he had been world champion, showing up in 1988 and just laying the smack down. Really strong game. Giving up beautiful, playing a beautiful exchange sacrifice, and then using the pin motifs at the end. And so that's it for that game. I hope you were able to extract something useful out of that. Again, as always, if you're interested in the closed Sicilian, just go to my playlist, and I have all the games split up by variations. And just follow the videos and watch them, and then go practice and play and watch your game improve. And also check the links below. There's some books related to the Sicilian defense, as well as DVDs for you to choose from. There's also a donation link. If you don't mind, I could appreciate that. And y'all look forward to seeing you on the next video.